to get some rubber on the road. We got some serious stuff to talk to you guys about.
Yes. All right, let's do this. So guys, Mitch and Mills from MJB Seminars, as you've been following our series over the last couple of weeks, just raise your hand if you've been doing the activities in the group previously and the new ones that we've been doing in there about mindset and abundance. Cool. So what we really want to talk about today is continuing on our theme of mindset and all things to do with Juicy Conference, mastering your life, and how to attract more into your life, and how to, deal with situations that arise, like unrealistic expectations, keeping your heart in the juicy game and in the juicy game of life as well, handling and dealing with triggers that may arise, and then keeping your eye on the outcome to generate more income. So we're going to finish talking about the income and financial abundance towards the end of the call. But let's get this started talking, Mitch and Mills, wherever you want to begin. But really, something I think that's big in our business is unrealistic expectations. Setting yourself a goal like, you know, I'm one day in the business and tomorrow I'm going to walk NMD on the Juice Plus stage. Sometimes it's unrealistic, but the vision is there. It's just the timeline isn't quite right. So let's go through that.
Let's start. Can I start with that one? Let's start with that one. Now we got conference coming up, and we're speaking on stage at conference.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm going to interrupt him already. It doesn't take long. I want to say first up, if you're not coming to conference, put it high on your list.
Why would you not be
to be at conference?
Why would you not be at
conference? I know it's a no-brainer. You want to be able to associate with like-minded people, see your team, get to network with different people, hear their stories. It should be a no-brainer, be at conference. Apart from the fact that we're there, which is going to blow your mind, the fact that you're just amongst your people is imperative. Okay, so next, go ahead.
So here's the importance of conference, right? I'll just make it a little bit of a tweak on it. When you have, the thing that happens at conference is this: you're amongst your tribe, you're amongst your people. And we're going to be doing something really, really, really good at conference this year that's going to blow everybody's mind. I can't give any tips away, but I can tell you it's going to blow everybody's mind. But what I will say is I put this out on Air Inspired Life. So I have personal private clients. They're called my Inspired Life clients. And I put this out, that's right. And I put this out last week. Kim's one of her. And I put this out last week on Air Inspired Life page. And I said, you know, when people have an issue and an issue turns up in their lives, they generally tend to behave, to incubate and isolate themselves because they don't want anybody to see that they've got an issue. The problem with this is that the issue then can't be worked with. But when you're amongst the tribe, because it's internalized, you act like a mole, you hide yourself away, and you internalize it. The beauty about working with a tribe, and one of the things I encourage the guys, my personal clients, to do on our Inspired Life page, is I encourage them to talk about the shit that's going down, because what happens then is it goes from being an issue to then being a curveball. So everybody gets thrown curveballs in their lives. The only reason it's an issue is because alone by yourself, you haven't got inside of you what you perceive you need in order to be able to sort it out. But when you share it amongst your people and you walk amongst your people, you walk amongst your tribe, you suddenly start to realize that someone else within your tribe has been through the same shit that you're going through right now. So then it goes from being an issue to being a curveball to then being a learning point and an instruction point that you will use later on as you go through and build your business and your organization. This is the importance of being at conference. Is because you are amongst a tribe of people and you network at these conferences, and you suddenly start to realize that you're not in this alone, and you start to meet people that got into the business and got that it was about hustling. And here's what I mean by it. People think hustling is like, oh, it's a negative thing. No. Hustling is about understanding if you're going to get into this business and you want to get to NMD or you want to get to the 100 Club, there's a common series of behaviors amongst all the people that you will see on stage at conference. Common behaviors. One of them is that every one of them have worked like a dog to get there. Not for a long time, but for enough time to be able to hit the tipping point where that organization, and we speak to MLM companies all the time. The thing about Juice Plus is Juice Plus has one of the best products on the market. It is literally the best product on the market for in terms of MLM companies. And we work with MLM companies all the time. I'm telling you, you have one of the best products. But let alone you have one of the best products, you have one of the fastest growing companies, one of the most innovative teams. You have a team of people that are heavily invested in their human development. It's the common thread amongst all of them on the stage. They're all heavily invested in their human development. And you have great leaders, like extraordinary leaders, but they walk amongst their people and they share the information, and you're with people to help you to overcome the things that you think are challenges to actually getting to where you want to get to. And that's one of the things we want to be able to cover in the Zoom call as well.
So in terms of unrealistic expectations, that leads us into that anyway. What happens is that people come on board and they think that, like you said, Caitlin, that they're going to get to the highest level the day after being there. You know, that their external world is going to match up, and they have this perception because they see people on stage, they see people achieving it, and you know, you guys have got like some people who got to these top positions really, really quickly. And because of that, they only see the outside, and they only see what's presented to the world. What they don't see is the work and the effort and the emotional investment that people put in the background. So you can't have an expectation or a goal or this thing that you want to reach and think that you're going to sit on your ass and get there. It is not practical. It is not realistic. Anything that you put into place is 120% achievable. But you have to be realistic about how you're going to get there. You have to be realistic about the fact that you've got to work to get there. It doesn't mean you've got to work hard. It means you've got to work smart. It means that you've got to think about your process and your steps to being able to get there. Now, this is one of the reasons that when we have these goals in our lives, we have them out here, and there's this massive gap between where we are and the goal that we want to achieve. And because we see other people achieving it, we think, oh, it can happen yesterday. It's not possible. It takes time. Now, the thing that you've got to do is you've got to start to chunk it down. You've got to start to chunk down your goals.
So I'll just talk about, just let me just back up a little bit. I'll talk about challenge in creating a goal, right? And the way you got to see it is this. People come into this business and they meet people who have a vision, and they meet people who are getting rubber on the road and getting traction in where it is they want to get to. So there's a fundamental difference, though, between a person that has a vision and a person that's a visionary. And here's the fundamental difference between the two. A person that has a vision, they come along and they go, fuck, okay, I'm going to be able to get financial freedom. I'm going to be able to get ahead financially. I'm going to be able to travel the world, hang out with like-minded people. And now what they do is they create this vision outside of themselves that's in the future. The beauty about your mind is your mind can time travel. I can say to you, what did you have for breakfast yesterday morning? You can tell me. I can say to you, where are you going to be in a year's time? You can tell me. So your mind can time travel. So now your mind time travels to a place in the future where you perceive you're going to be financially free, independent, traveling the world, educating the kids the way you want to educate them. And now your mind is there. And that place that is there is a plus because you're publicly announcing it to the world, right? You're telling your mom and dad, hey, I've just got involved in this MLM business. And they're going, what? And you're telling your boyfriends, oh, I just got involved in this MLM business. And they're going, you did what? And you're going, okay, I've got this place outside of me, and this place is a fucking plus. And you're announcing to the world this plus and this place that you want to get to and how awesome it's going to be and how plus this fucking place is. The problem is simultaneously, to exactly the same degree, internally, privately, you create a minus. Now that minus now has a voice, and it starts to talk to you because every morning you're waking up, you're not at that plus place. You're still hanging with the husband who's a FIFO, who's working his ass off. You got the 3 kids, and you got this place that you're stuck here. And every morning you've created this plus and this huge gap between where you are and where you want to be. This is why people are afraid to create a vision for their lives. They're afraid to create it because they know the ramifications of doing that. That every morning they wake up and get out of bed, they subconsciously ridicule themselves. They beat themselves up. They slam themselves. They put themselves down because they're not at that plus place. These people have a vision. That's why the people are afraid to have a vision in their lives. Now, here's the fundamental difference between a vision and a visionary. You ready? A visionary works out where it is they want to get to. and then chunks back, click, 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 all the way back to you two girls getting off the end of this call right now and knowing the next step that you have to make to get to that place. And that place, that next step is not something that's in your head. Because I meet people all the time and go, oh, I got a vision and I got it in my head of how I'm going to get there. You're fucking delusional if you're doing that shit. I'm sorry, you are delusional. And you're amongst other people that are fucking delusional. That's a delusion. A delusion is an affirmation without any goddamn commitment to getting there. You're delusional. So you must have a step-by-step system that gets you to freedom. So that you know when you wake up in the morning, no matter what side of the bed you put yourself out of that bed, those feet on the ground are part of that system to get there. Now, there is no room for torment. There is no room for challenge. Does that make sense? Because you know that every step you're taking is part of a methodical series of steps, a plan that actually gets you rubber on the road. Make sense? It actually gets you rubber on the road. So now there is no room for torment. There is no room for challenge because there is no challenge. What's the challenge? Tell me what the challenge is. The only challenge you have is you don't know where you're going tomorrow, and you've created this unrealistic expectation on yourself, and you're slamming yourself, ridiculing yourself, and beating yourself up because you're not following your own plan. Make sense? So this is a fundamental difference between someone that is a visionary and someone that has a vision. I don't care about people's visions. I care that they're a visionary and they know how they're going to get there. And when you're in conference and you're looking up at those people on stage, every one of them has a plan on how to get there. Every one of them. They have a plan. They know how they're going to get there. This is everything that is occurring in their outer world. They've already been there. They've already been on stage. It's a bit like you going away to Bali. Before you actually get to Bali, 3 weeks beforehand, where are you? You're in Bali because you're already bloody turned up there. It's exactly the same thing. You have to turn up before you arrive. But to turn up before you arrive, to get to Bali, you know you're going to get to the airport. You know you're going to pack your bags beforehand. You know how it's going to go when you hand over your passport. You're going to go through security. You're going to get to the lounge. From the lounge, you're going to get on the plane. Then you're going to be picked up by the driver. Then you're going to get to the fella. Then you're going to take your clothes off. Then you're going to get into the pool. Then you're going to drink pina coladas. You're already there. It's exactly the same thing with your vision. You've got to know what every step is taking you to.
So he was just about to take off there.
That was really good. Man.
Woo!
Millsy's
getting a workout.
This is something I recognize within our business too, of wishful thinking. You could say, like that's the word I would put is, wishful thinking. I start the business, I'm going to be NMD, I'm going to walk stage. Even as an SSC, people say, I'm going to walk stage as an SSC. You're doing no fucking action to show up to be an SSC. You're not being a leader. You're not doing the daily action and activity to actually put that in place. So you're not even creating a vision. You're nowhere near being a visionary because you're so stuck in the place of the thought process of thinking, oh, wishfully I'm going to get that promotion. I'm wishfully thinking that I'll get one customer this month. Like that shit ain't going to happen because you're not pulling your finger out to actually do the work. So we both had a meeting. Tim had a bunch when you said the word about delusional. You're freaking delusional to think that. We both went, oh my God, that's the perfect word for it because, wishful thinking is a complete delusion. It's not the reality of
it's an affirmation without commitment. It's saying that you're going to be somewhere, but not doing anything to get you there. So this chunking down and having the step-by-step plan, that takes it from being unrealistic to being realistic because you know that in each step, you know exactly what you need to do. And as you're looking at each step, you need to know exactly how long each step is going to take. So you're not delusional about this is going to happen to me overnight. This is going to happen to me after one phone call. Yeah, you can see it every step of the way. So it takes away from it being an unrealistic goal and it makes it realistic. So when you're a visionary, it can't help but be realistic because you've chunked it down. You have not just left it out there. Yeah. You've got a system to follow.
Magic doesn't fucking happen. It doesn't fucking happen. Magic is made to happen. Does that make sense? You see those magic happen stickers. You see them on the back of a Datsun 120Y. You see them on the back of an old Toyota Corolla. You never see them on the back of a fucking Ferrari. You'll never see one of those stickers on the back of a Ferrari because those people make magic happen. How? Because they work like a Trojan. Like if you look at any of your top end guys, like I know them really well, they've worked their asses off to get there. They just put the hours in because they realize, you know what, I can do this really fast if I put the hours in, if I smash it home. They spend an average of 30 hours. We were talking to Shani, not just on a text message a couple of minutes ago, and You know, she's like, when I did this, I was putting 30 hours a week into my personal development. 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody else was asleep, I was still doing my PD work. I was still working on my business. And that's what makes it pay off. If you have to hustle for 3 years to get yourself to freedom, it's better than going 30, 40, 50 years and always feeling restrained. So yes, you must put the time in no matter what. When the kids go down to bed, you put the time in. When the kids wake up in the morning, go to school, you put the time in. Every waking, you want your husband to be coming to you going, are we going to have dinner tonight, hon? Yes, we are, because you're going to fucking make it. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm working my ass off on this business. That's what it's about. Am I right, girls? Absolutely. It's a fucking no-brainer. Because you can say to your husband, listen, hon, listen. Just trust me. We're going to get there. You know that FIFO stuff? 3 years, no more. We're going to get there. Meanwhile, if you have to get your ass back down here and cook the dinner and and do the washing because we haven't had clean sheets for 3 weeks that you've been away, trust me, you better get your ass in there and do that because it's going to pay off. That works.
Makes sense? Okay. So this unrealistic expectation, very good. Okay. So this unrealistic expectation business only happens when we're not clear with the steps along the way. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to have steps along the way. Anything other than that. So there's 3 aspects to transforming your life and to transforming your world. Well, the one that you're talking about, Caitlin, is that people are they get involved based on like a kind of like a hyped up emotion. They kind of feel like, yeah, this is all going to be plus, and I'm going to feel amazing, and I'm going to live free. I'm going to be able to work from my laptop in Bali, and I'm going to be able to do all these things. So in their minds, they've got all this emotion that they're bringing to the game, and they've got all these feelings. Sometimes the feelings are up, sometimes the feelings are down. If we're not balancing out our emotions, right, if we're not poised in our emotions, we're going to be poisoned by them, because we're poisoned by the fact that if we're thinking it's going to be plus, we are delusional. If we're thinking it's all going to be minus, we're delusional. So this is where we're poisoned. When we're poised, when we're balanced, we're poised and we can move forward. The other aspect of transformation is not just our feelings, but also what we do. When we're poised with what we do, we then can take action in relation to that. And this is where our chunking down steps are. So you can't just have these fluctuating feelings and these fluctuating highs and lows and expect that you're going to get ahead in business and in life. You have to balance those emotions. You've got to balance those feelings. And then you've got to actually put stuff into action. And the way that you balance the feelings is that you do start to put things into action. You chunk it down. If we were to ask any of your team about creating the business, a lot of people won't have that written down. They won't have a step-by-step guide about how to get there. But if I was to ask you, what are you doing tomorrow? You'd be able to know, well, I'm doing this for the kids, I'm feeding them at this time, this is the food we're going to make, da-da-da. You've got that set out. So your priority is over here instead of in building your business. You've got to have strategic action plan for what it is you're going to do.
Watch. If I get any one of your guys to write down all the things that you do every day. And over here on the left, you've got all the things that you do every day. And over here, you got financial freedom. And I say to them, okay, link any one of those things that are connected to you having financial freedom. They wouldn't link sweet FA. They might luckily have one thing or two things that they're doing every day. So I'll say, and then on this list here to my left, on this list, I'll see watching Netflix, reading Facebook. Tell me the things you do: changing the baby's nappy, cooking for the kids, cooking for the husband, da-da-da-da. You know, you'll have a list of all of these things. Well, you're telling me that you want to be financially free, but your actions are speaking louder than your words. Your actions are telling me that the things that you're doing are nothing to do with you actually becoming financially free. They're nothing to do with it.
How are they? So what you've got to do is you've got to say, how are they building my net worth? Are any of those action steps actually building my net worth?
Yeah, and if they're not, well, I'm sorry, you're delusional. You've got an affirmation without any commitment. You're doing the wrong things. Now, here's what that means. It means that if you're it's like this. Getting financially free works like this. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be really straight with you girls, right? It's nothing to do, because people say, you know, you guys talk about money all the time. It's nothing to do with money. You know, you come to mastermind of money. When you're in mastermind of money, Money is the last thing we do on the last day for about 2 hours, maximum 2 hours. The rest of the time, we're talking about the key thing, which is having a calling, making sure that every person who comes into that event walks out of there knowing what it is they're here to do in the world. The next thing is we show them how everything they perceived was holding them back, or they thought was, there's this great line, it's not in the way, it's on the way. No, that's bullshit. Everything that happened to you in your life is the goddamn way. Those things that occurred in your life are the way. They are how you get ahead. But you got to know how to be able to drill down and mine those things and pull out of them the gold that you need to be able to find the self-worth that is needed inside of you to be able to build your net worth. It's nothing to do with money. It's everything to do with self-worth. No one is going to declare your self-worth. You have to declare your self-worth, and you have to see that life is trying to give you more all of the time.
So I want to elaborate on what Mitch has said based on the exercise that we got your team to do, all right? So the exercise, that transformation exercise that we asked you to do, where you had to write your self-worth, where you had to write down, I am disciplined, I am whatever, in every area of your life. You had to write down affirmation statements. Now, some people did it right to the end, and I have to take my hat off to those people that did it right to the end. Guaranteed you will have seen it, an absolute shift in your self-worth. There are some people that just did it once or twice. The fact that you even did it, great job. But there's people that got challenged along the way. The reason you got challenged along the way is because you found a little hurdle. And that hurdle you thought was in the way. But that hurdle, that challenge, that, this physical is too hard for me, the financial is difficult, the sexual is difficult. Those of you who found that difficult, that challenge that you found difficult is actually your key to growing your self-worth, is the actual key to you stepping up. And the thing you think we wanted you to do was to write, I am all of these things. That's actually nothing about what we wanted you to do.
Don't care about it.
That's irrelevant. What's relevant is where you got stuck, because where you got stuck shows me where all of your mining has to happen for all of the gold to be found. That's where you want to avoid. That's what you've been trying to avoid. And because you've been trying to avoid that, that's where you've been challenged. Yes? So, I was going to say something else about that.
While you're gathering say something. So watch now. You cannot build the reality that you want based on the feelings and emotions that have created the one you're in. So therefore, you're writing down all the really great things that you bring to the world, blah, 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 blah. All they've done is created the reality that you're in. Understand? You cannot create a new reality based on those feelings and emotions, because they're only capable of creating the reality that you're in. But if you drill down and mine and have a look that, when you perceive daddy abandoned you, he was actually enabling you. There were traits and characteristics that you learned about yourself along the way that you have not picked up yet. And when you pick those traits and characteristics up, you're able to handle more in your life. And that's not as a law. It's called the law of learning to handle what you got. Until you learn to handle what you've got in your life, you'll never have any more. So you attract those things into your life, not because you're trying to give yourself a hard time or life's trying to give you a hard time, but life is trying to show you that you're able to handle more. It's trying to give you more life, but it cannot give it to you unless you unless you find the appreciation of yourself in the places where you're adamant that didn't exist. Get what I said? You got to find the appreciation of yourself in the places where you're adamant that didn't exist. So the challenges and the things that you think were holding you back are the way. You've got to look there, you've got to grab hold of them, and you've got to get yourself to a point where if anybody said to you, hey, if I could give you a magic wand and we could undo any of that, would you? No goddamn way. Why? Because it gave me everything. I know who I am.
So here's the thing. This is what I was going to say before. When you've got this self-worth thing, and what we were trying to do, and the exercise was enabling you to do, was to build your self-worth. Like I said, not through what you thought we were trying to build your self-worth with writing all these positive things about yourself. It's actually in the challenges. That's where your self-worth lies. Now, the reason that we fall off the bandwagon, and this is very, very important, the reason that we fall off the bandwagon is because when we're trying to build our self-worth, we're looking for feedback in our outer world to say, hey, can you see that my self-worth is built? Can you see that I'm feeling better about myself? And feedback from our self-worth comes very, very, very slowly if we're doing it this way. Does that make sense? It feels like we're not getting anywhere. because there's nothing in the physical world that represents to us that we've done a good job in terms of building our self-worth. We've got our dreams over here, but because we're not quite at there yet, it feels like we haven't reached that. Because we haven't reached it, we feel there's no physical representation, no physical manifestation of our self-worth actually growing. This is why it's so important that when you're working on your money as well as working on your self-worth, and when you use money as a tool to work on your self-worth, which is why we focus so much on money, it's not about the money. It's about building your self-worth in the process. Now, when you're building your self-worth in the process, what you're doing is you're having to be more organized, more disciplined, more intelligent, more focused, more clear, etc. When you're doing that, what happens is you start to see the physical representation grow in terms of your finances. Then when you see that happen, you start to become more inspired. You start to appreciate that more. You appreciate that more. You appreciate yourself more. Your self-worth grows. Then you see your net worth grow. Then you see your self-worth grow. So self-worth and net worth have to happen hand in hand, because if they don't, you will always feel like there's no physical manifestation of your self-worth growing.
So when I was originally talking with Celine Egan about wanting to double the size of Juice Plus, which is what she achieved basically in a year, we were discussing the fact that we need to show these kids, because most of the time you guys are younger than us, but we needed to show these kids.
Most of the time. Most of them are younger than us, Mitch.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we wanted to be able to show these kids that, they need, because we live in a technology world where we want immediate satisfaction. You want to be able to get on the phone and get an immediate result, right? Kids just swipe through. I want to get this now.
How many likes have I got? How many comments have I got? There's this way of getting this immediate gratification now.
So you cannot ask them to build their self-worth unless they get an external immediate representation. You can't do it. Because they go, I've got to build the self-worth until the fucking dream turns up. No. But if you get them to master their wealth, and you saw this, Caitlin, because both of you did, Kim, you as well, you guys saw that in building and implementing the wealth principles, within a week, you started to see, shit, I've got savings. And you kids, like you cats know how to rustle and hustle. You guys smash it, which is really good. But as you start to watch your savings increase, you were now feeling like it was starting to work. Would you agree? Totally. The minute you started to see it turn up, you're like, shit, this stuff has legs. So this is why when we're talking about getting people to build their self-worth, we also have to get them to master their net worth. And learning the wealth principles and mastermind money, and there's so many of your guys are coming to mastermind money, which is awesome, which is really, really, really good, because we're going to blow your goddamn minds there, as you guys know. But in showing you the principles, once we get the wealth principles out of the way, it's just about building your self-worth. And every time you check in and look into your bank account, you become more appreciative. So here's the law behind that. Money flows to where there's the most amount of appreciation. It flows to where there's the most amount of appreciation. And money fucking flees from where there's the least amount of appreciation. So you have to get the kids to be getting grateful and appreciative of what's happening with the money. You got to get them to see that it's paying off, and it's paying off quickly and fast and immediately. And then they feel inspired and they realize, shit, I just got to keep working on my self-worth, and my net worth is going to continue to increase. Mind blowing.
I love that. I'm like mind blown as it is. We've got 7 minutes left, but we can always save this recording and then start a new recording if we need to. So don't stress if it cuts out. We'll just jump straight back on. Let's talk about, dealing and handling triggers. I think we could do like another whole half an hour call on. So we might save that. Just maybe if you guys just want to touch onto that, into then, the main aim of what we're all trying to achieve, and the pot of gold that's at the end of the rainbow, that we join this business and we see the vision, and we join, someone else's mission and vision, and then we create our own, how can we keep our eye on the outcome and generate more income? So, and one thing I want to also kind of, if we can tie into that as well, it used to trigger me a lot, and I'm going to say myself because I don't want to project my belief onto everyone else, but it used to trigger me a lot when I went to my first 2 mastermind monies. I didn't implement any of the wealth principles because I was an absolute nut, and it would trigger me when Mitch and Mills would say, how much money you have in your bank account right now is a direct reflection of how do you guys say that?
Self-worth.
Of your self-worth.
So your net worth and your
Trigger me.
self-worth.
That would trigger the shit out of me because I was like, no, I know that I'm worth this and I know I'm worth this, but just because my bank account doesn't reflect it, you know, so that actually became one of my triggers that I worked on. And that was the moment I realized, right, if I want to change that trigger, I have to implement the principles of this. And that's been diffused ever since, because now I know when I open my bank accounts, I know the gratitude is there. I know that the abundance is flowing there because my business is working, I'm hustling, and the results are showing at the end of the day. So let's kind of run through that. How can everyone else, I don't know whether that triggers anyone else, like drop in the comments if that is a trigger for you. But yeah, how can we keep our eye on the prize?
So can I just comment on that quickly there, Caitlin?
Yep.
When people are asked about their net worth, it definitely triggers our self-worth. And it triggers it because if I was to say how much are you earning a year and somebody has to tell me 30,000 or 40,000 or 70,000 or 80,000, it can even be 150,000. It triggers our belief or our understanding of what we're worth and what we say we're acknowledging, or what we say how much we value ourselves. So money and net worth and the discussion of finances every single time will bring us back to how much we're worth it. Now, for some of us, like you in your instance, and me in my past as well, it will bring us straight back down to the fact that sometimes I'll get angry and go, no, that's not the case, because we know that actually it is the case, because we know that when we look in our bank account, it doesn't reflect to us what we think we should be asking for the work that we've done. So financial growth and spiritual growth and fulfilling our dreams and aspirations go hand in hand, because you cannot be an impact in the world unless you're able to ask for more for yourself, unless you're able to recognize what you bring to the table so that you can receive for the service that you bring. It's very, very important, right? So do you want to go ahead with what you were talking about?
So I think that I think that
your eye on the outcome.
The beauty about triggers is this. Triggers are really important. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff going around at the moment. Oh, my God, he triggers me and I've been triggered by this and da-da-da-da. But a trigger turns up to make you handle the trigger. It calls on a part of you. It makes you summon your courage and your understanding and your empathy. And it makes you summon your drive. It makes you summon your push. It makes you step into your warrior. And that's why triggers are important, because they only trigger, the only reason they turn up is because the things that you're not willing to own on the inside now turn up on the outside to get you to own them on the inside. It's a no-brainer. So, and it's same with, you know, when people are going, yeah, but, you know, my bank account says this, but I feel this. And the truth about it is they're delusional, because they're saying it, but they don't really feel it. You know, they're saying, I know that I'm worth it. Well, tell me what you're worth. Tell me what you bring to the table. I'll walk up to a person in the audience and go, tell me what you bring to the table. I want to be able to give you more life, but I can't give you more life until you tell me what you bring. Why should I give it to you? Because the universe, the masses live in a land of cause and effect. They're waiting on the world to declare their worth. You know, when the boyfriend turns up, then I'm going to feel loved. You know, that's bullshit. When the boyfriend turns up, then I'm going to feel enough. When the boyfriend turns up, then I'm going to feel important. No, you have to feel those things before the boyfriend turns up. You have to show the world. You have to declare to the world what your worth is, and then the worth turns up. So you got to cause the effect. You, like I say this all the time, you've got to turn up there in the worth before the rest of the world catches up. Because the last thing that should experience the transformation of your self-worth is your senses. Your senses should be the last thing that experience it. You've got to feel it from the inside as if it's already happened. And when you feel it from the inside as if it's already happened, it's only a matter of time before it fucking happens. Does that make sense? So what I mean by this is you got to fire the trigger on that stuff. You can't just go, you know, oh, I know I've got to, you know, I know I've got self-worth. I know that I'm important. You got to start firing the trigger on that shit and keep firing the trigger and actually doing the work, and eventually you'll hit it. Eventually it'll happen. Eventually it'll come home. But if you don't fire the trigger on it, guys, it's never going to happen. Meaning you've got to sit down and declare to the world what your worth is, why you're so important.
100%.
So do you want us to join the call, Caitlin?
I think we've got like maybe a minute left. How can people get involved in this, and what's the next step? Because like, what people want to know what to do, how to strategize.
Okay. Do you want us to come back onto the call and spend another few minutes, because we didn't touch on the outcome thing. So
yeah,
if we do that, and then we'll finish up in a few minutes on another call. Do you want to do that?
All right, everyone, jump back on. We're going to do recording number 2. See you in a minute.
Recording number 2. See you in a minute.